I'd like to invite our own brother Ahmed Virani. Welcome him with a salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين فلاقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة يتيما ذا مقربة أو مسكينا ذا متربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا آياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة صدق الله العلي العظيم. In the name of Allah, the All-Beneficent, the All-Merciful, I swear by this town, as you reside in this town, by the Father and Him whom He begot, certainly we created man in trial. Does he suppose that no one will ever have power over him? He says, I have squandered immense wealth. Does he suppose that no one sees him? Have we not made for him 2 eyes, a tongue and 2 lips, and shown him the 2 paths of good and evil? Yet he has not embarked upon the uphill task. And what will show you what is the uphill task? It is the freeing of a slave, or feeding the needy on a day of starvation, or an orphan amongst relatives, or a needy man in desolation, while being one of those who have faith and who enjoin on one another patience and enjoin one another to compassion. They are the people of the right hand, but those who defy our signs, they are the people of the left hand. Imposed upon them will be the closed fire. Sadaqallahu al-aliyyul azim.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ahmed Virani, for that beautiful recitation. Inshallah, to continue with this majlis and for the recitation of poetry, I'd like to invite Dr. Farooq Bandali. Please welcome him with a nice and loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم عظم الله أجوركم. This is a narrative prose and it's titled Habib, a godly loyal friend from childhood to eternity. أعوذ بالله. From Kufa's heart a tale unfolds of Habib's soul in virtues cast and old. A bond unseen in childhood's tender dawn, when Mazahir's son by Prophet's grace was drawn. Beside Hussein, small feet in dust would tread, and Habib's touch to eyes and heart was spread. This child, the Prophet, with tears in his gaze, will aid Hussein in the most trying days. Through Ali's rank, his valor brightly gleamed. Asharkat al-Kamis, a loyal dream. A man of wisdom, Quran's verses known. His faith unyielding on truth's firmest throne. When Kufa's heart once pledged began to stray, and Yazid's shadow sought to seize the day, Habib, a leader brave among the few, sent forth the call for Hussein, strong and true. He urged the Imam, come, come, lead this land of ours against the darkness and the oppressive powers. Then came a letter through shadows dense and deep, from the Imam's hand where ancient promises sleep. Habib, at a meal by his dear wife's side, received the scroll where destiny would ride. He kissed the script, tears veiled his aging sight, for Yazid's army gripped the coming night. No word of doubt, but sorrow's heavy plea. His noble wife, with purpose, spoke to he. Go, Habib, go, your childhood friend implores. Your master calls beyond these earthly shores. His need is great. Why wait you here, my dear? Go now, my Habib, banish every fear. Through Kufa siege, a path he had to find, his loyal servant, true of heart and mind. First ventured forth, then Habib with careful art, sipped through the lines with courage in his heart. They met outside, the two souls to duty bound. His servant freed where sacrifice was found. To Karbala's plain with yearning steps they sped, to join the few by truth and honor led. Upon those sands where fate would soon descend, Habib's keen mind a counsel true would lend. He saw the enemies, he saw the odds, the enemy's vast might, and sought to support, to ease the coming fight. Let me approach, he asked the Imam's grace, our Banu Asad in this nearby place. Invite them forth to gain eternal fame, to shield God's cause and sanctify his name. He wrote to them with earnest, heartfelt plea of honor, heavens, and destiny to be. Come aid the Prophet's grandson, sore distressed, whom Kufa called, then left him sore oppressed. Through those 70 rows in spirit strong and bold, Umar ibn Sa'd, his army fierce and cold, did bar their path and turn them from the deed. Habib returned alone, but sowed a sacred seed. On Ashura's dawn, a battle raged and roared. Habib, commander, his strength and will poured. The left wing's guide at 75 years old, with steadfast heart, a warrior brave and bold. He sang his poetry, a testament of might, of loyalty, patience, and the sacred right. He fought with zeal for Islam's fading light, a lion's roar against the gathering night. At noon's high call, midst prayer upon the field, he faced his end, his noble spirit sealed. Overpowered at last, his horse beneath him fell. His final cry, a mournful, valiant kneel. O Master Hussein, O Master Hussein, help me, my soul takes flight. The Imam rushed with grief that rent the air to hold his friend beyond all earthly care. Habib looked up, eyes dimmed by life's swift tide. Forgive me. Forgive me, O grandson, this life I couldn't hide. Too small a gift, Islam's sacred cause. Hussein then cried, ignoring battle's laws. Oh, my dear friend, my solace and my aid. Upon his shoulder, Habib's spirit faded. Imam's deep sigh, a sorrow undefined. To God he spoke, this judgment I consign. A loyal heart of patience, pure and deep. A man of wisdom, secrets he would keep. A faqih he was, not merely learned in lore, but one who knew the Imam's sacred core. His piety shone, a beacon strong and bright, a sacrifice for truth and endless light. From Habib's life, a timeless lesson flows to seek the Imam wherever justice goes, to cleanse our souls with piety profound, and stand for truth on consecrated ground. To hold accountability with fervent might, and know that loyalty conquers darkest night. Like him we learn to offer all we own for truth's high cause until the seeds are sown. His memory lives, a goodly, firm set tree, his fruit forever, a friend for all eternity. Salawat ala Muhammad.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Bandali, for that beautiful recitation. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Tonight is the fourth in this Muharram series of Majalis here at Masjid-e-Ali alayhi salam. The sponsors for tonight's Majlis are the following families: Dr. Parvez and Mrs. Nahid Hamadani, Mr. Syed and Mrs. Sabika Hasnain, Mr. Nadeem and Mrs. Shafaq Bukhari, Mr. Abbas and Mrs. Sajda Hussain, Mr. Zain and Mrs. Ambreen Razak, Mr. Salim and Mrs. Zeba Rizvi, as well as Mr. Shahriyar and Mrs. Asima Haidar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept their a'mal and aza in this holy month of Muharram. We remember their marhumeen, your marhumeen, and the marhumeen of all mu'mineen and mu'minat with a Suratul Fatiha. Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Iyaka. In these holy nights, we also remember those who are in need of dua for their health, safety, and protection in all areas of the world, including Brother Sadiq Qadim, who is in critical condition, as well as Brother Shahriyar Haidar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless them with a speedy recovery, inshaAllah. Please recite with me verse number 62 of Surah An-Naml together 5 times. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أَمَّنْ يُجِيبُ الْمُضْطَرَّ إِذَا دَعَاهُ وَيَكْشِفُ السُّوءَ 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 وَيَجْعَلُكُمْ خُلَفَاءَ الْأَرْضِ أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون الصلوات على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل Mu'mineen, just a few announcements before we proceed with tonight's majlis. We are looking for sponsors. If you have not had the opportunity to do so, or if you're looking for opportunities to sponsor any of these majalis, you can speak with any one of us and inshallah we'll make it happen. We are also looking for reciters of poetry, Quran in this English section and series of Majlis. If you are interested, let us know, and inshallah we will facilitate this. The Al-Mahdi workshops are in session tonight, and they'll continue until next Friday. The workshops are divided into different camps for the young kids. The youngest group is for moms and toddlers. This is upstairs on the 3rd floor of this building. Other age groups up to age 12 are in the building behind us in our school building on the 2nd floor. There is also camps for children with disabilities. This is going to not just be tonight, but resume, inshallah, on Thursday and Friday. Registration for this is required. For the other camps, walk-in is an option. Mark your calendars for our annual Muharram blood drive. This is going to be held on Saturday, July 5th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Sign-up is encouraged to help streamline donations, but walk-ins are welcome, and help save lives and honor the spirit of sacrifice as we honor Aba Abdullah al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. We will inshallah have our information desk set up this week for both brothers and sisters to learn more about our services, which includes signing up for the blood drive, our Sunday school, Ja'fariya school, our full-time Islamic school, the Sadiq school, and as well as our funeral services. Speaking of which, we have Brother Murtaza Ali Dina. He is our funeral director here at the masjid. He's available. There is a table of his outside with information about our funeral services, cemetery, plots, all of the logistics. I encourage you after this majlis, visit the table, talk to him to get more information, and take advantage of him. And inshallah, with this, we proceed with our majlis. I'd like to request our resident alim, Maulana Syed Rizwan Rizvi, with a nice and loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Before I start, those who are sitting by the door, if I can just request them all to get up and inshallah come over here, move forward so we leave that area vacant as people do walk in later. Allahumma salli ala. رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الفاسفين الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين أبي القاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن يبتغ غير الإسلام دينا فلن يقبل منه وهو في الآخرة من الخاسرين صدق الله العلي العظيم صلوات عليه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. As mentioned, this is the fourth Majlis in this series of Majalis on these Ayyam Azah under the topic of objectives from Ashura or objectives from Karbala, understanding the objectives from Karbala. I've recited the same verse and inshallah we'll move on to another verse in the upcoming nights. But tonight, I continued with the same ayat from Surah Ali Imran, ayat number 85. One of the objectives of Majlis is also so that we familiarize ourselves with these ayat of Quran. Understand them, their tafsir, their sha'n nuzul, and how there's tatbiq and implementation of these ayat on Aimma Athar. As we know that Quran is a qasida of Ahlul Bayt. It is ayat of this Quran speak highly, either directly or indirectly about Aimma Athar. There are many verses in Quran that speak directly about the different aspects of Ahlul Bayt. And there's no denial of these ayat. Many mufassirin of Shia and Sunni Maslak, they have contributed towards this by mentioning that over 300 ayat alone reference Amirul Mu'mineen and various things that happened during his life. And similarly, there are ayat that talk about some of the enemies of Islam as well. You have the ayat of Tabbat yada Abi Lahabin wa tab. Talks about Abu Lahab. He shouldn't be feeling proud that his name is mentioned in Quran because it is mentioned in a very negative sense. Similarly, there's an entire surah called Surah Munafiqun. The surah speaks about those who lived around Rasulullah, yet they possessed nifaq in their hearts, and therefore the ayat speak about their nifaq in its entirety. While the names might not be mentioned in these ayat, but nonetheless, Mufassirin have spoken as to who those individuals were that are being mentioned in the ayat of Surah Munafiqun. Similarly, when you look at the ayat of Surah Tahrim, the initial ayat that talk about the two wives of the Prophet, where the ayat mentions in Tatuba, لَقَدْ صَغَتْ قُلُوبُكُمَا, there's no doubt who these two wives of the Prophet are being mentioned in this ayat, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if two of you were to do tawbah, indeed your hearts had swerved. And it is mentioned, the two wives, one was the daughter of the first caliph and the second was the daughter of the second caliph. And this is not in Shia Mufassirin or Tafasir. You go ahead and pick up any of the Ahl Sunnah Tafasir. So there's implementation, and there are ayat of Quran that refer to many historical figures. You know, for example, the ayat where Rasulullah migrated from Mecca towards Medina, the ayat which talks about the Thani Uthnain, the second to Rasulullah in the ghar, in the cave when Rasulullah was hiding. The Thani Uthnain is no doubt the first caliph. Abu Bakr was the one who was with Rasulullah in that cave. So when Allah mentions Thani Uthnain, the second one with you is the first caliph. Similarly, as Rasulullah was leaving, the ayat that was revealed, which is also in reference to those who man yashri nafsahu ibtigha'a marzatillah wallahu ra'ufun bil ibad, that those who sell their nafs for the mardi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this ayat refers to with Amir al-Mu'mineen who slept on the bed of Rasulullah on the night when Rasulullah left the city of Makkatul Mukarramah. And of course, ayat Tathir is there, which you have heard a great deal. Ayat of Mubahala is there, which you've heard a great deal. Ayat of Wilayat is there, which you've heard and listened to a lot. The point is that Quran, when we say that it speaks highly of Ahl Bayt, it is the Qasida of Ahl Bayt. No one should not get worried that no, it's the ayat of Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it, and there are sha'n and nuzul, definitely, but it speaks highly of Ahl Bayt without naming them. So therefore, similarly, there's an ayat of Quran where sha'n and nuzul may not be the fact that it is about Imam Hussein, but the implementation of that ayat refers to Imam Hussein. And the ayat are the last four ayat of Surah Fajr. Ya ayyatuhan nafsul mutma'inna. That nafs mutma'in, that serene and satisfied soul, irji'i ila rabbiki radiyatan mardiyya, return to your Rabb in the state that you're satisfied. Fadkhuli fi ibadi wadkhuli jannati refers to entirely implementing on the Zat of Imam Ali Maqam. With this muqaddimah, let me come back to the ayat that I had recited, fourth night in a row, from Ali Imran, ayat number 85. You know, one of the maqasid of this Majlis-e-Ali, as I mentioned before, is to familiarize ourselves with Quran and Hadith. While we are speaking about the fadail, you expect the fadail of Ahl Bayt, guess what? That's why I said Quran is the fadail of Ahl Bayt. When these ayat are recited, in other words, the fadilat of Ahl Bayt is being defined and explained. So when you hear the ayat of Quran, restore them, understand them, and prepare yourself that these ayat have implementations. This ayat, whoever follows a religion other than Islam, it will not be accepted from him, and he will be considered amongst the losers on the day of judgment. This is the simplest of the translations that I have mentioned thus far. While there are ayat in Quran that speak and explain what this Islam is, we've spoken briefly about it, but let's open it up. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, either the word Islam over here means submission, which is the actual meaning of the word Islam, which means what? Submission to the command of Almighty. And therefore all other divine religions fall under the category of Islam because they all submit to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Ibrahim said regarding him and his son, وَجَعَلْنَا مُسْلِمَيْنِ لَكَ. O Allah, make us to be your submissive servants. But then, you look at other ayat of Quran, because بَعْضُهُمْ يُفَسِّرُ بَعْض. Some of the ayat do the tafsir of other ayat of Quran. Sometimes you have to look at the ayat of Quran to understand other ayat. You don't need to refer to the hadith to find out what this ayat is speaking of. You refer to the ayat of Quran. So for example, in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna ad-deena indallahil Islam. Remember, even in this ayat number 85 of Al Imran, the word deen was explained earlier. We spoke heavily about deen. And then here Allah says, brings both of these words together in the ayat by saying, Inna ad-deena indallahil Islam. If there is a deen in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is what? It is Islam. So from this ayat, you get the, understanding that the word Islam doesn't necessarily mean just submission. Rather, the word Islam here refers to the religion of Islam. That which was brought by our Prophet, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which asks us to pray 5 times a day, fast in the month of Ramadan, be kind to our parents, take care of our neighbors, perform Hajj and Umrah, and give zakat and khums, and all of the other tenets of the religion. This is what is meant by Islam. When Allah says, in the sight of Allah, in the Allahi Islam, meaning there is no other religion that He recognizes. And there's a dalil to it. The dalil and the evidence is, you say, well, there were previous religions. They predate Islam. Right? Judaism was there first. Then came about Christianity. Then, after a period of 500 years, which we call Fatra, is in the year 570, the birth of our Prophet. And then, after that, when he's 40 years old, he announces Islam. The 500 some years gap between Christianity and Islam. So these two religions came before. How can you say, well, this is superior to the previous two? Or, in the sight of Allah, only Islam is the religion, and He doesn't consider anything else to be a deen. It is very simple. The fact that Islam came at the end itself is the biggest proof. Right? It came to complete the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah revealed His commands gradually. He didn't give everything all at once. That's why you and I also, when we grow, gradually you learn things. A child who's not bombarded with all of the ahkamat from the very beginning, they start praying, they start fasting, but right now there's no khums and zakat upon them. There's no hajj obligatory upon them. Or other ahkamat that are on grown-ups, it's not upon them. Gradually they'll come to understanding and as well as practicing. Better yet, a better example would be your modern day educational system. You have the elementary school, you have the middle school, you have the high school, and you have the graduate school. The things that you learn in your undergrad, you're not going to go ahead and refer to what you learn in your elementary. Things that you study in your postgrad, not necessarily you're going to go back to your middle school curriculum and look at what you studied back then. Why? Because now you have upgraded yourself. You've updated yourself. You've gone past that basic, ilm that you were seeking when you were going through basic schooling. Now you have mastered all of that. And now you've come to graduate. Guess what? Islam came to graduate you. Same thing. The previous religions were there. Islam came to complete the previous religions, acknowledge previous religions, and then give you the certificate of graduation. Hence, it is befitting for me to recite this ayat, which is the end of that وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. That now Allah is razi with you as far as Islam is the deen. So with this brief mention of understanding this ayat number 85 from Surah Al-Imran, which we've been using to promote, to understand this concept of Imam's uprising. How can we understand what Sayyid al-Shuhada did? Well, people are still trying to figure out. But you can't give up. That's why every year, hundreds, no, that's too little. Thousands, even that is little. Tens of thousands of majalis are being recited simultaneously. Just in this mosque, 2 majalis are happening simultaneously. Just within this state, maybe 12, 13 majalis are happening right now. Go to the neighboring state, same amount of number. All of United States, you can't tell. Major cities, you don't know. Tens of thousands of majalis are happening. All focusing and keeping the mahwar and the core of their discussion, what? Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. You see the barakat of Sayyid al-Shuhada? How he irrigated this land, this religion which was on its demise, which was dying, which has dried up. And it needed irrigation, not with water, rather with the pure blood of Imam alayhi salatu wasalam. And that's why you see the barakat of it today. There are millions of people in all remote areas of the world. You know, just how every place in the world there's always adhan being said. In these 10 nights and in these 2 months, there isn't a place where there's Sada of Ya Hussein is not being heard. Just like Allahu Akbar is being heard everywhere, every moment. Time difference. Same thing, Ya Hussein is being heard all over the world. Imams, one of Imams, you know, miracles if you want to call it, or karamat, or the works, because all of his works were karamat, that we're trying to analyze is how Imam had to stop the bleeding. Where did the ummah of Rasul go in mere 50 years? That Rasul, we said that this religion has gone to its peak. Al-yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati. That this religion has gone to its peak. It's become mukammal, tamam, complete. It is at its peak, or Rasulullah is leaving it at its peak. But within 50 years of Rasul's demise, the Muslim leader, the ruler of the time, is saying such blasphemy where he says, لعبت بنو هاشم بالملك فلا جاء خبر ولا وحي نزل. Banu Hashim were playing, messing around, in our common terminology, with the religion. لعبت بنو هاشم. لعب, you know, playing. لعبت بنو هاشم بالملك. They were playing with this government, this mulk, this sovereignty, this land, this religion. There's no khabar. There's no wahi. No news came from Allah. No Quran ever come. He's literally declaring that there's no Quran. And that is the ruler of Muslim Ummah. That is the ruler of Muslim Ummah, who, by the way, still has many followers today, who claim to be Muslims. It would have been okay for us to say, well, if some non-Muslims followed him, okay, sure, out of ignorance. But knowingly, many Muslims still consider him to be radiyallahu anhu. With that said, Islam has taken a nosedive in 50 years, going from its peak to this tanazzul, where, haram and halal are mixed. One of the things that Imam has said about explaining who Yazid is, that he mixes haram and halal. He makes halal into haram and haram into halal. So easily. That haram and halal, which even Prophet, I said it in the other night, with all due respect, does not have the permission to make any halal into haram or any haram into halal. Now the Muslim ruler is making it to be halal and haram. So Imam ﷺ had to rise. Imam had to stand up. In the words of one of the Maraji of our time, Ayatollah Jawadi Amuli, he mentions this. When someone posed a question as to why only Imam Hussein did khuruj and rise, and he was the only one who rose, while other Aimma did not do similar qiyam. Why is it that only Imam Hussein did qiyam? No one else, no other Imam before him or after him did similar qiyam. Imam Ali ﷺ did not rise up, although 25 years of his life. It seems, if you look at it, people could have benefited more from Imam had he not been sidelined. Well, he continued to benefit, just like Imam of our time continues to benefit us from behind the clouds. Imam Ali was, my himayat, and he was the one who was benefiting people, whoever came to him, knocking on his door. But he could have done more had he not been stripped of his right. 25 years. There was a case for him to stand up, wasn't it? To rise, to go ahead and do Karbala before Karbala. But Imam remained silent. Same thing with Imam Hassan. He could have easily challenged Muawiyah. Actually, Imam did challenge Muawiyah. He went a step forward, a step ahead of Amirul Mu'mineen. He actually rose. But of course, when he faced, opposition from within his own ranks, Imam had to do what was best for the Ummah. Then you come to the time of fourth Imam. Of course, we realize that he's coming back from Karbala, so there's no scope of him standing up and rising. Fifth Imam and sixth Imam dedicate their time while the two forces of Umayyads and the Abbasids were colliding to go ahead and spread the ilm and ulum Ali Muhammad. Seventh Imam suffered a great deal. Persecution for 14 years he spends in prison. He had the opportunity to stand up. He doesn't. And then rest of the Imam until Imam Homer time reappears. So why only third Imam? This was a question, a genuine question. So the Ayatollah, he responded in this way. He said the other Imams in their times, there were a lot of issues facing the community. But they fixed those issues with the means that they had in their hands. And he gave an example. He said, when you have a headache, when you have a stomach ache, when your back hurts, when these problems happen, you don't go to emergency. You just take a pill and you hope that inshallah that'll work and you'll get better. The time of other Imams, they use these tablets and these pills to cure the ailment of the community and the society. But sometimes your marad and your illness goes to the level where a pill will not work. You have to go through surgery. That's what the issue was in the time of Imam ﷺ, third Imam, that it went to the level of surgery and Imam had to. It could not have been fixed by a pill. Imam had to perform his surgery. And that is the reason he stood up, he did qiyam, and the other Imams didn't have to do qiyam. So, first objective that I want to, in the fourth majlis, you say, want to reveal in front of you. What is the objective of Imam Hussain ﷺ that we learn from Karbala? First is ihya deen, revival of the religion, and at the same time reforming the ummah. That's what you get out of his inni lam akhruj ashiran wala bataran wala mufsidan wala zalima innama kharajtu li talab al islah. The Imam says the reason my khuruj is what? To revive the religion. Religion which is now being handled by people who are doubting the nuzul of Quran, the wahi. The second reason for Imams, or the second objective that we can count from Karbala, is fighting oppression, corruption, and injustice. Inshallah, we'll get into the nights to come. The third objective that we will talk about in the coming nights is preserving human dignity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, لَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي آدَمَ. We gave karamat and honor and dignity to insan. You degraded him. Therefore, Imam wanted to restore the dignity of human beings and believers and their integrity. Fourth, preserving Islam against distortions, inhiraf, from these different deviants that had come to go out and change the face of Islam. Brothers, we face a similar dilemma today. This fourth one, inshallah, will be a discussion which, let me highlight it from tonight. That we face a similar dilemma as the followers of Imam Hussain, as those who claim to be tashayyu. That Imam stood up to fight the distortions in Islam. You and I have to raise our voice to fight the distortion within our deen. So many distortions, so many inhirafat, which is leading to inhiraf of the people, misguidance, using the same platform of Majlis-e-Ali. They're leading people to inhiraf. And if anything, in order to appeal, this is the kalam, this is the maktab, this is an individual who attracts people from all walks of life. But some of the practices that are associated with this azar is doing what? The complete opposite of it. Deterring people away, repelling people away. They don't want anything to do with tashayyu. They start questioning, this is what your deen is? Where you do this, where you do this, where you do this. All these practices, which are a good topic for Jummah, and I'll discuss it in Jummah. But that is, again, Imam stood up to remove the distortions. We need to get up to remove the distortions from our maktab and our madhab. And lastly, very important, awakening the ummah. Waking up the sleepless or the sleeping people who had gone into the slumber, who, just how I have put some of you to sleep here tonight, they had gone into sleep as well. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Into their shells, you know. And not something that just came into my mind, that also plays a role in how active we are. Because what have we given to our deen that we've been so much talking about? Deen, deen, deen. You've heard it for so many days now. What have we contributed to this religion? When you come and speak about what religion has done to us, and then, I'm not talking about what religious scholars have done to you. That's debatable. But what religion has done to you, you can't enumerate. But what have we done for the religion? And not all are included in this. What we have done, what majority have done, we have given our leftover time after a long day's work. Leftover time that we have, we say, okay, sure, let's just go to the Majlis. And we have given our leftover change. I don't need this money, let's just give it to Masjid. I don't need this carpet, which is in my basement, let's donate it to Masjid. I don't need this couch, let's give it to Masjid. We've given our leftover time and our leftover change. And when you do that, do you expect from the leftover things which you didn't need, something good would coming out from it? So this is where Muharram, as I said yesterday as well, is a time that you and I are active. We're not active like this all year long. You think this masjid is packed on a Sunday night, in a regular day outside of Muharram and Safar? You think this masjid is packed how it will be tomorrow, Monday night, Tuesday night? No. That means there's some deriving force behind it which is compelling you, which is appealing to you, which wants you to do this. This is where you use that energy to convert. Because throughout the year, the energy is not there. It somehow is infused in these nights. So when it is there, this is the time for you to use it. One of our teachers said, when should you give nasihat to your child? He was speaking about your daughter. He said, when should you give nasihat to your daughter? When you buy her a gift, when you get her, he said, specifically what he said, when you buy her earrings, when you give her the earrings, then you do nasihat to her. Because right now, she is excited what she has received from you. And she's all ears at that moment after receiving that gift. So you use that energy, you use that point to go ahead and give that very important advice that you want to give it to her. He didn't mention how do you give advice to your boys. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So I can't help you with that. But reform and revival, that's the first. Yes, took us 4 nights. That's the first. We need to understand the objective of Ashura. Reform and revival. Revival of the teachings of religion of Islam and reform in the ummah. This ummah needs to be reformed. They have been circling. They have been going in various directions. And especially in this day and age. Especially in this day and age. While you're sitting in a masjid, while you're listening to a majlis, you can still be distracted. Unless you're using your phone to take notes, then that is a distraction in your hand. Some people did ask me, Maulana, if you see me using my phone, that means I'm taking the notes. I said, Bismillah. I'm not judging anyone. But unless you're using this to write down, because we can't retain, we don't have the same memory, especially those of us who are now, you'll say, Maulana, you're still young. Those of us who are nearing 50, but in the crowd, many of you who are nearing 70 and gone past 70, we don't have the same sharp memory. Yeah, use it to write it down. I still do it. I hear something good, I write it down, because I'm going to forget it the next moment. So use this energy, use this time. Imam did 2 things, reform of the ummah and revival of the religious teachings. It needed. Teachings were completely changed. It came to a point when if Imam had not stood up for it, we would have a complete different face of the religion of Islam. Complete different. That's why we need the Imam's reappearance in order to bring us back to what we're clinging on to, we're holding on to with difficulty. We need that, Ashura. We need that reappearance in order to go ahead and revive us once again. So, very quickly, as I bring you towards the end of it, Imam used all of whatever he had in his possession, to revive the teachings of Islam and to cause reform. He had to go to great lengths to do so. He had to give his life. He had to give the life of his family. He had to give his house, his belongings, his wealth, his property, his children, their lives. He had to sacrifice a lot to go ahead and revive the teachings of Islam and to reform the ummah of Rasulullah. And this is the peak of sacrifice. You and I, of course, are not expected to give that sort of sacrifice, nor are we capable of giving that sort of sacrifice. But what we can do is use these majalis-e-aza, which are established in the name of Imam Hussein, to go ahead and do the revival of the religion and reforming of the ummah. Let's use these majalis. This is the best platform that you can find to revive and to reform. But I know there are different things why people come to Majlis. Some people come to Majlis for thawab. There's a lot of thawab, no doubt. You go ahead and read Kamilu Ziyarat. I've mentioned a few ahadith in the first night, the very first night. So many rewards associated with shedding tears. So many of us come for thawab. In fact, all of us come for thawab. Because there could be more than one reason why you're coming, right? So there's nothing wrong in having more than one reason. But some of us come for thawab only. Some of us come for hajat. We have some hajat that have not been fulfilled yet. We've been making dua. We've been asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've been knocking on His door. That hajat hasn't come true thus far. There's an entire discussion on dua, which we have spoken about a great deal. Why sometimes dua and its acceptance and its response is delayed. Those discussions are there. One of the things that Imam mentions regarding this dua, he says there are 4 possible scenarios. Number 1, either your dua is accepted and you get what you were asking for. Number 2, either your dua is rejected. Allah doesn't approve what you asked for. It doesn't always have to come true. Everything we're going to ask, Allah is going to accept it. No, He rejected it. Number 3, Allah accepted it, but He gave you something else in return. You asked for a boy, Allah gave you a girl. You asked for a girl, Allah gave you a boy. You asked for something, Allah gave you something else. But He still responded to your dua. And lastly, Allah accepted your dua, but He delays giving you until Qiyamah. Not in this life. He said, we'll give it to you. But we'll give it to you when it's meant more. When you need it more. Second Imam Hassan Mushtaba alayhi salatu wasalam said, if only people knew how Allah will bestow us about our du'as in the hereafter, they'll all say, oh Allah, may none of our du'as come true in this life. Oh Allah, delay giving it to us in the day of judgment. We don't want it to be accepted tonight. We don't want it to be accepted in this life. Delay it until. But our fourth Imam added something more beautiful. Remember the first 2 scenarios? Either he accepts it or rejects it. Imam said, when should I be more thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When He accepts my dua or when He rejects it? He said, oh Allah, I'm more thankful to you when you reject my dua. Why? When you accepted it, you did what I wanted. When you rejected it, you did what you wanted. And I would rather have your want and your will and your wish over my want and my wish. So if your du'as haven't come true thus far, don't lose hope. Keep knocking. Allah likes this knock. You come and ask people for your hajat. Someone comes to me once, twice, 3 times. I'm going to start getting annoyed. I'm going to start turning them down. I'm going to start telling them, go away. Knock somewhere else. Humans, when they are approached to ask about something, they get annoyed. You know when Allah gets annoyed? When people stop asking Him. When you stop knocking on His door. That's what leads to Allah's annoyance. So don't stop knocking on His door. And there's hope, there's umeed. In fact, Ma'asumeen mentioned that when you make dua, have such good suspicion, husn dhan on Allah, that here you're making this dua, and at the door and the threshold is your ijabat. Have that sort of husn dhan about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, one of the maqsad of this majlis is what? We come here for thawab. Number 2, we come here for hajat. Some of us come here to learn the ma'arif and the ahkam. Ma'arif and the ahkam. Now I'm just adna talib ilm, a student of this maktab. And the scholars, when they speak about, the ahkam, and they explain the ahkam, when they explain the ma'arif of deen and the religion, well, that's something which you benefit from. You learn 1 or 2 mas'ala, and then you leave here knowing that I was unaware of this issue. Now, alhamdulillah, I know this masala. So many of you, your maqsad and your purpose behind attending majlis is what? To learn something, ahkam. It's funny that there was an issue that came about a couple of years ago. Someone asked me a mas'ala saying that regarding nail polish. So our sisters, hopefully they're listening. But nowadays, you don't know, nail polish, maybe both genders are using it. So it'll be beneficial for both. Now there are different types of nail polishes out there. Permeable, that breathable, if it's okay or not. That is a very pertinent question, asked regularly. Is that breathable nail polish okay? Is it okay? Okay in a sense that can you wear it and then do wudu, for example? So the answer that the marja gives is always an open-ended answer where you have to do your own research. He said, if that breathable nail polish is not hindering in water reaching your nails, then it's okay. But that is your determination, not his. But if it is becoming an obstacle in water reaching your nails on your hand, then your wudu is incomplete. Just like there was something wrapped around your nail, on your finger, and you did your wudu, you offer your salat, what is happening? Your wudu was incomplete. Wudu was incomplete, your salat is incomplete. That's what the marja is going to say. But forget about these different types of nail polishes. Regular nail polish, which we know for sure is an obstacle for water to reach your nail. The hands have to be washed. The feet, you do masa. Ayat of Quran. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, idha qumtum lis-salati faghsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiq wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ila al-ka'bayn. There are those who believe when you stand up for salat, wash your faces and your hands, aydiyakum ila al-marafiq, up to your elbows, and do masa of your heads and do masa of your feet up to ka'bayn, the ankle. Ayat number 3, I believe, of Surah Ma'idah. No ayat. Simple ayat. 2 things have to be washed, 2 things have to be wiped over. Someone asked, Maulana, you said that we can leave just one of the nails on our toe without the nail polish and our wudu would be correct. I said, yes. Because the hands are washed, the feet are, you wipe over them. Wiped. So the wiping, if there was no nail polish, are you wiping the entire foot? Again, of course, it is better not to have anything, but you're speaking about a technical masala. If you leave even one of the nails on your toe without it, you can do the masa. Because masa is the length, just to drag it, right? This is the breadth of it. This is the width of it. It doesn't have to be the entire hand to be wiped over. That's all there is. Just like how much you wipe over your head, similarly, you wipe over your feet. So I mentioned this. Sorry for prolonging this story. It was a couple of years ago, someone asked this question. I mentioned it. I said, yes, you can leave one of the nails and you can do wudu and your wudu in time. Someone came up to me and said, Maulana, we've been listening to Majalis for the past 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. We've never heard this before. I said, welcome to the club. Every day you learn something new. اطلب العلم من المهد إلى اللهد. Just because you didn't hear about it before, doesn't mean the masala is not there. Even the maraji, the fuqaha who have given these fatwa, they have to refer. They can't keep in mind all the fatwa. The little, small ones, they have to refer back to it. And say, yes, this is true, this is the masala, and hopefully today those who are listening, it resolves it if anyone was, grappling with it in the past few days. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, third purpose and reason you come to Majlis after hajat and after having, gaining thawab is to learn the ahkam. Number 4. The fourth reason that you and I gather is for ta'zeem of sha'airullah. وَذَلِكَ وَمَنْ يُعَظِّمْ شَعَائِرَ اللَّهِ فَإِنَّهَا مِنْ تَقْوَى الْقُلُوبِ. That those who uphold the sha'air and the symbols of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, indeed it impacts increasing the taqwa in their qulub. So one of the reasons we come here is because sha'air Husayni are sha'airullah. So therefore we come to this Majlis Azhar. I've run out of my time, unfortunately, but we want to stop at a place where we can continue the discussion tomorrow. Imam ﷺ's understanding the objectives of Ashura is that he revived the religious teachings and he reformed the ummah. You and I have this institution of Majlis Azhar where you're not bothered by the time, you're not bothered by how late it's going, whether it's a weekday or a weekend, you're going to come because of the love of Sayyidul Shuhada. So now you're already ready to embrace this, to accept this. And you have that energy. Now you want to convert that energy. Therefore, what should we do? We should go ahead and use this energy to revive the teachings. And we also want to use this to go ahead and cause this reform. 4 things that I mentioned. Inshallah, we can keep this so that we can continue from this point on tomorrow. Imam ﷺ, as I said, was reviving, was reforming. But there were many there who helped Imam ﷺ in this path. Imam, it's not an understatement that I'm saying that Imam couldn't have done it by himself. No, he could have. And his divine, some of the riwayat are mind-boggling in this. People start questioning that angels descended. Yes, angels descended and asked Imam ﷺ on numerous occasions, "Oh Hussein, if you ask, we have the army ready." Now how in Battle of Badr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent an unseen army. Hussein, we can have an army with you. You're only 72. We can bring the army of the angels. The jinn, ajinnah, the mu'min, jinn, they appeared to Imam ﷺ, offering their nusrat and their help to Imam ﷺ as well. That, "Oh Hussein, we are your followers." We are غير مرئي, we can't be seen, but we are there to help you. Imam ﷺ needed a caravan. That's why Imam, as he made his way, either people joined him or Imam invited them. Amongst the people that Imam wrote letter to and invited was his friend from childhood, Hazrat Habib ibn Mudahir, or Muzahar, both names are mentioned, from Bani Asad. Habib was Imam's childhood friend. That's why he's considered to be amongst the ashab of Rasulullah. They have seen Rasulullah. He was definitely ashab of Amirul Mu'mineen, taking part in all of the major battles with Amirul Mu'mineen and playing a vital role in it. There's a waqiyat regarding Habib's fadail too, that him and Mitham Tammar, they run into one another, and Habib says, salam to my friend who will die in the love of Amirul Mu'mineen. Mitham responded by saying, salam to my friend who will die in the love of Hussein ibn Ali. And that's what happened. Mitham was hanged and killed for the love of Ali ibn Abi Talib. And here Habib ibn Mudahir, he gives his life for Imam Hussein. Imam wrote a letter and sent it to Habib. Habib, who probably arrived towards the end of the Qiyam of Imam Hussein in Karbala, 8th or 9th of Muharram. He wrote a letter and he said, من الحسين ابن علي إلى الرجل الفقيه. From Hussein to a rajul, a man who's faqih. Faqih is referred to our fuqaha, ulama, immensely vested with knowledge. أنت تعلم قرابتنا إلى رسول الله. These are the words of Imam. Oh Habib, you know our qarabat, our relationship with Rasulullah. وأنت عارف, and you know about it more than anyone else. لا تبخل. These are the words of Imam. Don't be miserly in helping us. This is an opportunity. You know, Imam went to Ubaidullah ibn Hurra Jofi, asked him to come and help. He said, take my belongings, take my shield, take my sword, take my animal. Imam said, no, I'm not here to take your wealth, take your resources. I am trying to give you a maqam in Jannat. And you're denying that. So Imam ﷺ wrote this letter. This letter arrives. Habib is sitting with his family at home in Kufa and having lunch or dinner, whatever it is. Someone knocks on the door. Habib opens the door, takes the letter, comes inside, sits down. He knows that this is from Imam Hussein because the Qasid told him. He kisses the letter out of respect that Imam Hussein has written it. He's aware because he was in touch with Hani ibn Murwa in Kufa, and he's aware that Muslim ibn Aqil was in Kufa, and he's aware that Imam Hussein is on his way. With all this understanding, he takes the letter, he reads the text, first himself, then out loud. His wife says, "O Habib, I tell you that do not think of anything other than helping Imam Hussein. There shouldn't be a second thought in your mind. The fact that the family of Hussein is in this Karbala, in the desert, the children of Hussein are in desert, don't think twice what you need to do." Habib, it is mentioned, out of testing his wife, he said, if I go, for sure I will be killed and you will become a widow. If I go, there's no survival. I'll definitely die and our kids will become orphans. And I feel that how will you survive without me? And how will my young kids survive without me? Here, expecting a reasonable response from his wife, the wife becomes enraged. Oh, Habib, you worry about your wife becoming a widow? You worry about your children becoming orphans? And you have not given a thought that if you don't go, Hussein's wife and Hussein's family members and the women in his house, they will become widow. Hussein's kids will become orphans. And when he pressed enough, he realized the shan and the shaukat of his wife. She even said in some riwayat, if you don't go, I will go. Habib said, no, you stay. This is not your maqam. I was just testing you. How is it possible for me to say no to my beloved friend? Even if he was not my friend, he's my Maula, he's my Aqa. I would have never turned down this offer. Habib secretly wants to leave the city of Kufa. He can't just walk out because Ibn Ziyad has surveillance all around. He tells his servant to take his horse and his belongings and meet him at this outside the outskirts of the city of Kufa. And he goes, Habib, through these secret pathways, he makes it his way out to the city of Kufa, and he arrives. Before he gets to that place, as he was delayed, he could overhear his servant and his ghulam speaking to the horse, saying that if my master doesn't come today, I will ride on you and will go for the nusrat of Imam Hussein. Habib wept at that moment that, oh Hussein, a time has come in your life that even ghulam of the family of my ghulam are willing to sacrifice for you. Ajrukum Allah. Habib makes his way. He relieves his ghulam that you're azad and you can go wherever you want to. Riwayat mentioned that ghulam insisted that I would want to come and I want to accompany you in this jihad as well. Habib nonetheless rides his horse, and as he approaches the place where Imam had erected the tents, someone could see from far away a rider is coming. Imam had already given, this is already 8th of Zulhijjah, 8th of Muharram, Imam had given the flags to the commanders, those who were on the right side and the one who was in the middle, but the left commander was missing. The flag was there. People were saying, oh Hussein, who will be the commander of Maysara? He said the commander is on his way. And as he sees this horseman arrive, people were ready because they didn't know it could have been an attack. Imam said, no, this is the long awaited friend of mine. Habib gets closer. He comes out of respect and adab. He comes down from his horse. He comes to Sayyid al-Shuhada, pays his respect, lowers himself to the ground. Oh Maula, am I late in coming for your nusrat? Imam says, no, you're on time. He makes him stand up. He hugs him. He kisses him. And people see this is the old friend of Hussein. As soon as his arrival is there are people who are excited in the camps where there was only depression and they were depressed and they were in this sorrow. But now all of a sudden they're all excited as if they have achieved something. The news reaches the tents of the women folk. Zainab hears that Habib has come. Zainab sends a message through Fidda. Oh Fidda, go tell our salam to Habib. Fidda comes, gains the respect, and she says, oh Habib, Zainab Kubra has sent her salutations. Habib took off the amama, threw it on the ground, threw khak and dust on his head. He said, the time has come. Nabi Zadiya are sending their salam to us ghulams. Ala lanatullah al-qawm al-zalimin. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسين يا حسين يا حسين.
अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर का लहू शह की अबा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर दस्तार से वो माँ की, दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया। अकबर ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ऐसे गिरी है खैमे में अकबर की लाश पर। ज़ैनब का खून खाके, ज़ैनब का खून खाके शिफा तक पहुँच गया। लैला ये रो के कहती थी अकबर कहाँ हो तुम। लैला ये रो के कहती थी अकबर कहाँ हो तुम। जालिम का हाथ मेरी, जालिम का हाथ मेरी रिदा तक पहुँच गया। आवाज़ रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। आवाज़ रन से आई के बाबा मैं गिर पड़ा। गिरता हुआ हुसैन, गिरता हुआ हुसैन सदा तक पहुँच गया। दस्तार से वो माँ की, दस्तार से वो माँ की रिदा तक पहुँच गया।